Hi everybody, hope you're doing fantastically well. I'm here to talk to you about a topic which I don't really want to talk about, to be quite honest with you. But, I'm going to try to touch on the football side of it, as well as talking about the ethical, the moral standpoint as well. Alioski apparently has a pre-contractual agreement with Galatasaray. This has caused a big stir online. I'm going to try provide a little bit of balance. There's no way I can win with absolutely everybody here. There's going to be people on one side and the other. So I'm going to try give help you decide, what to think and how to think it if you are unsure. But before the video starts, guys, if you wouldn't mind smacking a like, if you are new, please subscribe to the channel and let's get into it. So, April the 5th, 2000, to give you some historical context. I'm just going to try speak to the camera for this one because it's a bit of a deep video. Two Leeds fans, Christopher Loftus and Kevin Spate, were fatally stabbed in Istanbul on the night of a UEFA Cup semi-final between Galatasaray and Leeds United. Caused a lot of problems, I will say. It was a horrific night. It really was. I was there for the home leg. I was only a young lad, but I remember it. And we talk about Millwall, we talk about Manchester United and bad atmospheres. This was on a different scale, and I was only there for the home leg. I can't imagine what those away fans experienced out there in Istanbul on that night. We watched it all from home, and we hurt as a community, we hurt as a club, we hurt as a family. And it was probably the darkest night in our history, to be honest. Two fathers were killed for a game of football. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But it wasn't just that. It wasn't what happened on the night. I mean, it encompassed everything that happened on the night, of course it did, but it was the aftermath, the lack of respect from Galatasaray, the lack of respect from UEFA. Leeds had to play that game on that night after the two fans were stabbed. The players were visibly not there. They weren't right. Two dismal goals conceded on the night, and the Leeds players were somewhere else. Welcome to hell from Galatasaray was sort of still taunted by the fans on that night, and it was just an awful night. It literally was like you were in hell. It was awful, absolutely awful. And, mothers would have watched that, children would have watched that, and I was scared. I remember watching the game and being scared, as a young lad, and, it was like the devil's chamber, and they didn't wear black armbands for us on that night as well. Obviously, UEFA made us play the return leg as well, and there was just a lot of bad feeling. There was nothing from Galatasaray as a club. They blamed the Leeds fans, I think, for a lot of it as well. I don't know exactly what went on out there, and I'm not professing to know, but I think there was just a lack of respect shown, and the black armbands, and as I've said, making us play on that night from UEFA as well. There's a lot of resentment, and it's built up for years and years and years for Leeds fans, and it's never been addressed with anything really. We've never had that comfort blanket that you should have. The game was intersected by a game against Arsenal. Arsenal came with the wreath. There was, I think it was a minute or 2 minutes applause, and there was a lot of hugging between the great Arsenal team of Vieira, Petit, Henry, Overmars, and there was a lot of respect from Arsenal, and Arsenal weren't even involved in it. They were later on down the line when one of their fans was stabbed by a Galatasaray supporter. So we sort of have a mutual thing there, really. But they showed us a lot of respect on that day, and you almost felt that we didn't get that from Galatasaray. We didn't get that from UEFA. Now, the further thing to add to that was Harry Kewell, one of our sons who we brought over from Australia. What a wonderful player he was. The Australian Gareth Bale at the time. What a player Kewell was. He was my favourite player. Him and Smith were very close. And Kewell made the move to Galatasaray years later, and that was a big kick to a lot of Leeds United fans. He was part of the squad that was out there that night. He was part of the two legs. He was part of everything, that community, that family feel that we were at that time. O'Leary's babes, we were youngsters, we were taking on Europe, we were bringing Leeds United back to the big time. And when he moved there later on in his career, when he had options to go to other clubs, it was a real kick. I think Nigel Martin actually came out and said he would never move there, and there was a few stuff from the players who were part of that squad. I think Danny Mills said something as well. But it was a bad choice, in my opinion, on Kewell's part, and I think he went out there and became, a bit of a cult hero. So, yeah, that harboured a lot of resentment from Leeds fans, and that's probably a reason, if you don't know, and if you are from another channel, why Leeds fans really can't stand Harry Kewell. And I do feel that. I do feel that with Harry Kewell. He hurt me when he went out there. He tainted his reputation at Leeds United going out there for me, and I feel that's justified as well. Now, when you look at Gianni Alioski, it's not the same for me. And listen, I get why, and everything that I've just spoken about is why some fans would have resentment towards Gianni Alioski for what he's done, and I can completely understand that, and I completely get that. He was part of the side that turned the back on the anniversary of the event at Birmingham. He knew exactly what was going on there, Gianni Alioski, so he was part of that. But he wasn't part of it at the time. He didn't understand the feeling that we all feel. I've heard people asking me, what if Calvin Phillips did it? Well, Calvin Phillips was brought up as a Leeds fan. It's like me. I wasn't part of the side, but I was brought up a Leeds fan. I understand it. I think Calvin Phillips understands it as well. Gianni Alioski has been part of these things, these the commemorative event, like what we did at Birmingham, but he wasn't part of that side that night. He wasn't there on that faithful night like Harry Kewell was. I just don't think you can draw comparisons. I don't think he understands, to be quite honest with you. I don't think a lot of the foreign players would understand right now, even if they were part of the Leeds fabric for years. I don't think they'd grasp exactly the way we feel as fans. It's a completely different culture at this moment in time for both clubs. It's a completely different era. And we don't see those events happening as they did in the early 2000s. And, I do often think about Chris and Kev, and their sons and what horrific things they must go through mentally. And it's just horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. But Gianni Alioski's done so much for Leeds, and he's helped us get promoted. He's brought a lot of the good feeling back, and I just can't harbour any resentment towards him because he wasn't part of it on that night. He wasn't part of the culture then. He didn't understand it then. He wasn't brought up with that. Whereas I think Harry Kewell, for example, is on a completely different spectrum to that. So I just wanted to get my thoughts out there. I don't want to do a massively long video about it. I understand both sides to it. I can understand why you'd harbour a little bit of resentment or a lot of resentment towards Alioski. I get that. But I'm probably more on the other side. I was there in the return leg, so I was part of that, and it still stays with me today. That'll stay with me till the day I die. That home leg, it was just horrific. But I don't have any resentment towards Alioski because I don't think he understands fully what it was like to be part of that environment. I don't think he gets it, and I can understand him not getting it because it's 21 years later. So guys, I've tried to provide a little bit of balance. I hope you've enjoyed this. It's not an enjoyable video to make, to be honest. I've tried to record it about 5 times. But I hope you have a good rest of the day. Please put your comments in the section below. Please don't be abusive. I don't want this to be toxic. It shouldn't be toxic. We're all fans. We're friends on this channel, I hope. And I've tried to provide a bit of balance and to the family of Chris and Kev. You'll be hurting every single day, but I hope this hasn't brought to light some more raw feelings, and I presume it has done. I really do. So rest in peace, Kev and Chris, and yeah guys, I'm going to leave it there.